Hi guys, Selena Walker here, naturopath and nutritionist, living on 10 acres of land, off-grid, deep in nature, here to inspire you to create a healthy body, healthy mind and a healthy planet. And today I want to talk to you about one of my favourite things, and that's growing your own food. Now, if you might be thinking, I haven't got much of a garden, there's always something you can do, even on a windowsill. And I've also got a video that I've done on sprouting for those of you that have just about got enough space for a jar. So there's always something you can do. I can remember getting into growing vegetables when I was a very little girl with pigtails swinging in my hair, helping my dad out his veg garden that we had in a very, very small garden at the back of our house. And I can remember just feeling that joy of seeing things grow and dancing around in my little watering can. And you know, years later, here I am, 40 years old, still doing it and loving it. And I want to get you guys to enjoy it as much as me, because it's so empowering. You put a seed in the earth, you connect with that seed, it grows you food, and you're part of the whole process. You know what's gone into the soil, you know where the water's come from, and you know everything about it. So here, as I said to you, I live in 10 acres of land and we live off-grid. And this is a little station where I've got all our seedlings. It's actually scaffolding that we've used for building our house. We still, at the end of our building, hopefully, we're still building our cabin in the woods, but we thought that we could make use of some of the scaffolding that we got spare to use as a little seedling bench, because it's ideal because of these metal posts, the slugs can't get up there. And I've just put these recycled milk cartons on top to stop the rain getting down and turning it a bit too rusty. So let's crack on. I want to start by taking you through the whole process, but start with the basics, how to plant a seed. So the main rule of thumb is to find out the size of your seed. So I've got a large seed here because I thought it'd be easier for you guys to see on the camera. And I'm about to plant my beans. Now, beans are generally planted here in the UK around May, June time, after the threat of frost has disappeared. And I've got, can you see those there? I've got some balotti beans. They're very beautiful beans, but you can see they're quite large. And what you're aiming to do when you plant seed is good rule of thumb is to put it into the earth twice the depth of the seed. So obviously when you're working with very, very small seed, that can be very difficult. So what I simply do there, I always wet the soil before I start, especially with small seeds, because otherwise when you water them, they're just going to fly away. So if you've got very small seeds, what I do, I wet the soil, sprinkle the seeds on top, and then simply put a bit of compost on top, because usually if you try to work out twice the depth, they're just way too small. But today we're going to be working with a larger seed, so you can see it there on my camera. So the other thing I wanted to mention to you is how you can make use of what you got. I've already mentioned the scaffolding, but you can make use of anything you've got at home, because we're in the middle of lockdown at the moment and there's been absolute craze of people wanting to grow their own fruits and vegetables, which is absolutely fantastic. But it's also meant that lots of the stuff is sold out. So why not make do with what you've got? So let me show you what I've been up to. So for instance here, again, making use of the old milk cartons, I've got my Swiss chard growing away nicely there in some milk cartons. And also, if you save your kitchen roll and toilet roll, then you can make these into pots. Now be careful here, because some people just put them straight in the tray and fill them with soil. Now the problem with that is when you lift it up, unless the roots have become quite compact, lots of the soil is going to fall out and you can end up with lots of soil in amongst the tray, and that can attract things like slugs. So what I've learned over the year is it's quite good to seal the bottom. Let me show you here. Here's one I made earlier, Blue Peter style. You can see there that I've sealed the bottom, and the roots are managing to grow through it very easily because it's nice and moist. And then simply I can put that in the ground and it just composts down. So a very easy way to do that, what I simply do is I get the tube, and all I do is I cut it equally. So an easy way to do it is if you fold it that way, fold it flat that way, then take it the opposite way and fold it flat. Then you'll have 4 points, you've turned it into a cube. And all I simply do on those edges is I will just roughly, it doesn't have to be perfect, do it about 1/3 of the way up, And then all you're simply doing is you're folding it like a cardboard box. So I'm just simply folding it in, and you want to get the flaps to overlap. So you might have to play a bit, it gets a bit fiddly, but you will eventually get it to seal. And that works so much easier because you can put that in your tray, lift it up, and the compost doesn't fall out. And I've worked out the plants grow so much better. Now, kitchen rolls, you can get a good couple of plant pots out of that, but I find the toilet roll holders, once you've cut the bottom into a pot, they are ideal for peas and for beans. So all I would simply do, you can see here, again, making use of something else I had around, some mushroom crates, which you can usually pick up for free from your local veg grocers. Or if you're getting deliveries at the moment of veg boxes, you might ask them to deliver some. So I've filled these with compost, and all I'll simply do, because it got wet last night by the rain, is I'm simply going to push that down to twice the depth. And it's that easy. There we go. Done. It's that simple. So while I'm talking to you, I'm just going to do that one row there, so I know that I've done the one row and I don't have to go checking. But it is that easy. Golden rule of thumb, twice the depth, cover with soil and water. Now you can get complicated and look at all kinds of books, but I like to keep things simple. And if you plant the seeds, the harvest will come. So I've just done that one row there, and you can see how quick and easy that is. Now, as I said, those are Belotti beans, and they allow me to have beans in the winter because they are my dried bean crop. Now under here, I've made pots by cutting out the milk cartons, and they are really good pot sizes for my squashes, because I'm going to be growing hundreds of squash plants to plant around my corn plants to hopefully sell for the local community. So the reason I've done it like that, because it allows them to germinate and I can stack them. So if I show you, if I stack that there, I can stack them and they can still germinate. So that allows me to be able to save some room. So I'm just giving you some hints and tips on what I've done over the years. Now, the other thing that you might want to think about is covering if it's going to be frosty or if it's going to be cold. Let me see if I can reach this here without damaging the plants. Yes, there we go. Can you see this I've made here? So this is a propagator lid. Now you can buy them, but again, if there's a shortage or you're a bit short of money or you just want to make do amend, all I've done here is I've used a vegetable crate, again from my local fruit suppliers, an old sack of carrots, and stapled it round. And I can simply put that over the mushroom crates and it keeps it nice and warm. So there's always little things that you can do. So I'm just sharing those hints and tips with you. So all I simply need to do now to those beans, I've pushed the bean seed in twice the depth, and I simply need to water it. Now what I would expect to happen there, in about 2 weeks' time, they would germinate, just as these peas have germinated here. Now, if you're dealing with small seeds, then what will happen is they will germinate, just like this land cresses here, they will germinate. And if you've sown them quite tight, which I always do on purpose, they will then need to go to the next stage, which we call pricking out. So here, I've got my brassicas, which I've already pricked out. So you can see all I've done, all it basically means is spacing them out so they can grow. And I always leave them grow until they've got one set of true leaves. Now what true leaves mean are, you'll notice, you might even notice there, the bottom leaf is very generic, and then the top leaf shows you what kind of plant it is. It's its true form. So I always wait until it's got those and then I'll plant out. So they are about ready to plant out, and I've been waiting for the rain to arrive so the soil is wet, as we're off grid here and we've got water from a spring and a well, and it hasn't rained properly for probably about 10 weeks here. So I've been waiting for the rain to arrive to water the land, so that those are ready to go out, and there's even more rain arriving later in the week, so I'll be getting all this planted out this week, which is very exciting. So what I wanted to show you now, here in this tray, there's also some weeds, as you can see, but I've got here my celery. Now there's also some purslane that I forgot to plant on when I sorted this tray out last, but you might be able to see there the very, very, very small celery. Now they need to be pricked out. Now all pricking out would mean is I would scoop those out and I would put them in this tray and I would space them out. And I would probably feed that, I'd give it a bit of seaweed and some water. So all I would simply do, by scooping it out, I would simply lift them out with the roots intact, and very quickly I would just scoop them back in, but with a spacing that is good for that plant. And that's all pricking out means, exactly like what I've done here. I've just spread the spacing out. And as I've done here in these milk cartons, if you haven't got enough trays, with the chard, I just spread them out and they're now able to grow. And you can see they're lovely and big and they are ready to go out to the end of this week as well. So the stages of growing are that sowing, where you put the seed in the earth. Then when the seed gets big, if you want to pot it on before getting out, usually with beans and peas you can get those straight out, but with smaller things such as your kale or your celery, or I've got landcress or chard, and I've got spinach there, I've got sweet corn down there, got mizuna, those kind of things, the leaves, they will need potting on just to get a bit stronger, particularly because they are the ones that attract the slugs. So all you simply do for pricking out is you pulling out that plant. You might even decide to scoop them all out, and then you're simply putting them in a tray or whatever, or a plant pot, whatever you've got, in some good compost, and you're putting them out a lot more space so they can grow and develop their true leaves. And remember, it's quite good at that point. You can either give them a bit of fresh compost or some water with some good feed. I tend to use seaweed feed in there. So the next step I'll be showing you is when I come to plant out down in our veg garden. So hey guys, I've brought you down to our veg garden to do a true Blue Peter style. Here's some I've grown earlier. So I was showing you previously in the video how I make little pots out of the toilet rolls and how I've made sure that they've got a bottom because of how the soil doesn't fall out. When I've done this in previous years and I haven't done the bottom, I've picked it up and lots of the soil has fallen out. It's been a right mess and it can be quite stressful for the plant. So I can also see that the roots are coming out there and that toilet roll is quite soaked. So it's really simple. All I would now need to do to plant is check your spacing. So I'm planting salad and spinach here, and I'm planting it quite close together because I'm going to be harvesting quite regular so I can have lots of good salads and juices. But what I'm going to do, all I'd simply do is I would dig away all this mulch I've put down in the winter. I've got some lovely wood chip mulch here. Make a hole in the soil, pop it in, close the soil around it, put the wood chip around it, and there we go. It's that simple to plant out, and that is why I really love that method. However, I planted these the same time and the ones out of the rolls seem to have done a lot better. Now this is perpetual spinach that I'm working with here, and I don't know why one done better than the other. It may be different soil because I've got it from a compost heap. So it could be because I got it from different parts of the compost heap. But I'm going to plant them in different rows just to see what happens. But these ones are in a tray. So all I would simply do is, I do this quite roughly. I scoop it out, trying to get as much of the root out as possible. I don't know if you can see that there. And I would just simply, again, very similar, put it in the ground until I find soil. Scoop it in, squish it down, and just very gently put a bit of the wood chip around. I don't want the wood chip to suffocate it because I've put a good layer on it here. And I can feel when I go under the wood chip, it's really warm, and even better, it's really moist. So that will keep the heat in and also keep the moisture in. I'm hoping it will keep the slugs away as well, but I'll keep on that one and I'll let you know how that plays off. So yeah, that's how easy it is to plant out. So we started the video with looking at planting seeds. We looked at pricking them on into individual pots or trays, and we are now ending with planting it out. And then the next phase is the most exciting, where you get to harvest and eat it. So hopefully that's taught you all about sowing, pricking out and planting, and it's inspired you to grow your own food. And remember, it's so good for you on so many levels, because physically it's good for you because you're getting lots of physical work while you're actually doing it. And on a physical level, when you eat it, because you know where that food has come from, it's got low food miles, so it's healthy for the planet as well. And also, you can connect with your food, not just on a physical level, but on an energetic level. I know sometimes I like to put the seed in my mouth as well before I even plant it, so I can connect on a DNA level with that seed. It's almost like I'm telling the plant what I want it to do, what nutrients I need by connecting. Now, you might think that's a bit of woo-woo and you might not be ready for that, but I just wanted to throw that in at the end. So I'm here with our sweet corn plants. I've got about 400 sweet corn plants here ready to plant out after I finish this video. And I just wanted to say, I'm so glad you joined in today. I hope I've inspired you to grow your own food. And if you've enjoyed this video, check out my YouTube channel and subscribe. Don't forget also to head on over to my website, selenawalker.earth, and subscribe to my newsletter, where every week you'll be given hints and tips on how you can live a delicious life. And remember, it's all about you. It's about creating a healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy planet. I'll see you soon.